On this episode of China Uncensored, how far can you push a lie? Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. From the country that brought you a ban on reincarnation comes the most mind-bending assault on logic yet. You see, the Chinese Communist Party is a bit like Richard Simmons. Only instead of stretching those glutes, the Communist Party stretches the truth. Unlike Richard Simmons, the Communist Party has not suddenly disappeared. You may be familiar with the Chinese regime doing some construction in disputed territorial waters in the South China Sea. This is Fiery Cross Reef. And here's a time-lapse of Fiery Cross Reef. You can see a close-up of the 10,000-foot runway they built on it, perfect for military planes. And according to U.S. officials, these might be missile silos. So if you go by what some people call objective reality, you'd think the Chinese regime is building man-made islands for military purposes. But if you take the red and yellow pill, things aren't what they seem. Because according to Wu Qian, China's defense minister, there's no such thing. In other news, war is peace, freedom is slavery, and ignorance is strength. Specifically, what the defense minister said was, most of the building is for civilian purposes, including necessary defensive facilities. But he also said, there is no such thing as man-made islands. In other words, military falls under the category of civilian, and there's no such thing as what they're building anyway. Yes, none of this exists. When reporters asked him to explain his comment, Wu declined to elaborate, saying China had already provided a full explanation of its construction work. Construction work that never happened, right? It's like something out of a movie. Wait a second, I know what's going on. Wu Qian is trying to use Jedi mind tricks on us. There are no man-made islands. Well, Wu Qian, Jedi mind tricks don't work on me. Hey, come on, Seamus. At least Photoshop me onto a character from one of the good Star Wars movies. That's more like it. Or maybe it's not Star Wars. Maybe there are no man-made islands because there is no reality. We're all just living in some kind of artificial simulation of a world that doesn't exist anymore. Nah, that's just crazy. Anyway, why is this man-made island thing such a big deal? Well, the Chinese regime is engaged in territorial disputes with many of its neighbors over the resource-rich South China Sea. China claims pretty much all of it within this red line, called the 9-dash line. Whether or not those claims have historical legitimacy, the Chinese regime is proceeding aggressively by dredging up sand and piling it on mostly submerged reefs. Then they use those man-made islands to exert territorial claims, saying those islands belong to China since, China built them. Then they say they never built them, even though we have pictures of them doing it. Wait, what if the Chinese regime didn't build those islands after all? What if that's what Wu Qian meant when he said there were no man-made islands? The Chinese military wasn't dredging up sand to build islands. It was merely helping to uncover natural islands with natural sand that exists at the bottom of the natural ocean and would one day maybe form those exact islands on those exact coral reefs that the Chinese military killed in order not to build those islands on top of. If you think about it, it's very eco-friendly. Al Gore would approve. And it's a great strategy, because no matter how insane it is, what is anyone going to do about it? No one wants to go to war with China, and so the Chinese regime keeps pushing the envelope until they push it into Crazy Town, which was primarily built for civilian purposes, including necessary defensive facilities. So what do you think of China's claim there's no such thing as man-made islands? Leave your comments below. I'd also like to let you know that China Uncensored is possible because of support from viewers. You can contribute through a website called Patreon. You can become a supporter of China Uncensored by pledging, for example, $1 per episode. And as a supporter, you'll also get some cool rewards and behind-the-scenes stuff. So click the link in the description to visit our Patreon webpage. Thanks for watching this episode of China Uncensored. Once again, I'm your host, Chris Chappell. See you next time.
Thank you.